Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I have chosen my video backdrop on purpose because we're going to start a very fun reading vlog that I've been meaning to do for a while now, and it is perfect timing because I just started the first book for this and I'm so excited. So today we're gonna talk about books that had octopuses in them. So I have 3 books that I want to read for this vlog. They're all, I think, similar tones but different genres, I believe. So the first one I'm gonna read is Sea Change by Gina Chung, and this one is a kind of, I think, like a literary fiction. It's kind of like a, 30-something-year-old woman who is struggling with her life and trying to figure out what her way forward would be and how she wants to live her life. And she has the help of an octopus to do that. So that's the first one I'm gonna read, and I'm so excited. I think this is also the newest release in this vlog. So we're gonna start there. Then we have Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby von Pelt. I have the German copy here because I got it as a gift. And I think this one also is about the friendship of an octopus and a woman, but a slightly different setup. I'm not quite sure whether we will get this book from the point of view of the actual octopus. It kind of sounds like that on the back. And then lastly we have The Soul of an Octopus by Montgomery, and I think this one is a non-fiction, but we also learn about this author who is a scientist, and she's telling us all about octopuses. So I think this is still gonna be similar feeling, but just not fiction. So these are the 3 books I'm gonna be talking about in this vlog. I will always update you when I'm 50% through a book and then when I finished it, and in the end I will tell you which one was my favorite. So excited to find out, and yeah, let's have fun with this vlog. So I am halfway through Sea Change now. I'm really enjoying the book. I think it is very interesting, very beautiful. I like the look that we get of our main character. Her life is definitely very unique because she has lost her father in a very unique way, and her family dynamic also is very interesting. So basically, when she grew up, her father is a marine biologist. He was working in this like area, and I feel like this book is set kind of in the future, I think, because there is this certain area in the sea, I think in the Bering Sea, if I hear it correctly, that is so polluted that a lot of the animals there have kind of morphed in very unique ways, and basically they're growing much bigger, and her father is investigating that area and he finds a Pacific octopus there who's called Dolores, and he brings her back and takes care of her in this aquarium. But when he goes on another expedition to this part of the sea, he actually disappears, and so we never really find out what happens, I guess. And our main character is really struggling with that because at first she didn't believe that her father was really lost, that he would just show up one day again. But now it's many years later and he never did. And that's kind of like the connection of her and this octopus that she's now taking care of in this aquarium. But the aquarium is struggling financially, and so they're thinking about selling the octopus, which makes her really sad because it's kind of like this link that she still has to her dad. Now, she doesn't really have a good relationship with her mom. Her parents were always fighting when she was growing up, and yeah, it's just very strained with her mother, and when she was younger she never really understood her mother very well. And so yeah, we have a lot of these like conflict lines. And then at the start of the book, we learn that our main character has just been left by her boyfriend, or even fiancé, I'm not quite sure, because he was chosen to go to Mars. which is also interesting. So he now moved to the desert and is partaking in some kind of like trial run situation thing. And he left her and she's struggling with that as well. So our main character is now 30. She is kind of depressed. She doesn't have a great job. She fears that losing Dolores, the octopus, will make things even worse. And yeah, life is kind of like running away from her. Like, she doesn't really know what to do now. And I like these kind of messy characters. I really enjoy that. I like it when people come to a point in their life where they really have to question what they actually want to do and what their life actually should be about. And so I think that is very relatable, and very, yeah, thought-provoking, I guess. And I'm very intrigued to see where it goes from here. I have less than half of it left now, so we'll see, and I'll update you when I've finished. So I finished reading Sea Change by Gina Chung, and I decided to give it 4 stars. I really enjoyed this book. I think that it is a very interesting look at this one person's life and her struggles and her kind of like family history that led her to that point, and the kind of question whether, you know, you want to stay the way you are or whether you actually would like to be different, and then you should also act differently, I guess. So I think this is a very relatable book because I think a lot of people in their 20s or 30s come to that point where we just have to face kind of like the impact that certain things had on our lives and whether we want that impact or whether we would like to change it. And so yeah, I thought it was very relatable in that sense. I also think that the whole like family history was very interesting, also very tragic. So there's a lot of like very sad and heartbreaking things happening in this book. And so I would recommend checking out content warnings, especially losing a child and stuff like that. So there is some like really yeah, just very, very tragic scenes in there. But mainly we're following our main character kind of dealing with that and facing it and deciding what to do with all of that baggage, basically. And I really enjoyed that. I think that the ending was hopeful enough, but also authentic. Like, nothing got like the perfect solution and then she was happy after all and stuff like that, but it had like this very good outlook. And I also really enjoyed the kind of part that her best friend from childhood played in that, and that female friendship was portrayed in that way, in a very complex way. And I think, yeah, I overall just really liked the themes and the exploration of that. Still, I think that it didn't grip me as much as I wanted it to, and maybe I would have liked also a little bit more octopus in the book, but you know, that's not what the book is about. I saw like a 1-star review on Goodreads, and it was like, I DNF'd this book because it's not about climate change, it is about this like main character figuring stuff out. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly what it is. And if you read the description of the book, you see that this is what it is. Like, this is not a book about climate change, even though it does play a role and it is brought up at certain points in the story. But that's really not what this book is about. The octopus in this book is more of a symbol and a connection, and almost also a little bit like a catalyst. And so, yeah, don't expect a climate change book here. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I would recommend it if you're interested at all. I don't think you can go wrong with that if you're interested in these stories about just figuring things out and maybe being a mess as well, which I always like. I like books about characters that are a mess, so I definitely recommend this one. So I am halfway through Soul of an Octopus by Montgomery, and I wanted to give you a quick update. I do look a little bit disheveled because it is very hot right now and I just did a workout, so I'm a bit of a mess and I'm sorry. But yeah, I wanted to give you an update on the second Octopus book that I'm reading. And I thought we switch it up with using a nonfiction book now and then finish it off with another fiction book. And this one I do really enjoy. I got it as a gift from my best friend. That's why I'm reading it in the German editions. And sometimes that is a little bit annoying just because some translations are not great. So for example, they translated cuttlefish, which is a type of like squids, I guess. I don't know. I just never know the English terms correctly. But that one has a very different name in German, but they translated it like it was the same word. It was really weird. But that was the only thing so far that really bothered me about the translation. Apart from that, it is flowing quite nicely, and it's obviously easier to read for me because I just can read German a little bit faster. What I like about this book is that we definitely have like this narrative style that feels very similar to a novel. So we're basically following Simon Montgomery, the author, as she is exploring octopuses and just yeah, figuring out her connection to them and why she's so fascinated by them. And we follow that through a couple of chapters. Now, at the beginning, the first 3 chapters are for 3 separate octopuses that she meets. So the first one she meets is Athena, and then we have Octavia, and then Kali. And these all live in an aquarium in Boston that she goes to visit a lot, and where she's allowed to actually interact with the octopuses as well. And after those first 3 chapters, then we go more into like themed chapters. So one that I just read, for example, is about the eggs and how octopuses lay eggs and how they protect them and stuff like that. So we do have this like narrative where we follow just the journey of the author with the octopuses, and at the same time we do get a lot of like interesting snippety information about how they live and what makes them special and where maybe they are similar to us and where they're different and stuff like that. So I think that the flow of the book is really nice. I don't feel like I learn like a ton of new things, but it's just sprinkled in so nicely, the information. I think it definitely works for a casual read, but I think I've also heard some criticism that this book isn't enough about octopuses. So I guess if you want to do like a real deep dive into them, then this is not the right book to read. I think it's more a book about the fascination with them and the kind of octopus-human connection and interaction that is possible. And I do enjoy it. I'm interested to see where it goes, kind of like what the overall narrative will lead to. But yeah, you definitely have to prepare that we also see a lot of the octopuses dying just because they don't live very long. That's just how it works. So there are quite a few like sad moments as well. But yeah, I think in general you can probably discuss how great it is that we keep so many of them in aquariums. And there's also talk about a lot of people who own octopuses themselves in their homes. And that's just something that, while I think for me personally, it would be a dream to have like a big aquarium with octopuses in them in the middle of my house and to be able to meditate in front of that and stuff like that. It sounds amazing, but I don't think for the animals that is the best thing. And it also talks about how now we see this shift where aquariums and zoos try to create an rich environment for the animals so they can live quite normal lives, but they're still captives in a way. So I think you can have this discussion, and so far this book is not doing that. But yeah, that's like the only like criticism point that I have right now. And we'll see. I'll let you know what I think at the end of the book. And yeah, now I drag my disheveled ass to work. So I have finished Soul of an Octopus, and here is my update. I finished this last night and I decided to give it 4 stars. I did really enjoy this book. I think it was very easy to read. Like, I read the complete second half of this yesterday, which is not something I usually do, but it was really easy to get through. It's an interesting read. I wouldn't say that it gets very deep in the meanings, but it just explores, you know, the relationship of the author and these different octopuses. And in the second part, it also goes into her trying to learn how to dive so she can see wild octopuses in their like normal life state and see how they are when they're not held captive. It was really interesting. I really enjoyed that look at it. I think it's also interesting that the author at this point also wasn't like a super young woman anymore. Like, I don't know, I just like this perspective of a woman who's already in her 50s learning how to dive. I just thought that was really inspiring and cool. And yeah, overall, I also shed a couple of tears at the end. There are quite a few sad things happening in here, mainly because octopuses don't really live that long. And also, they have this tendency when they're held captive to do self-destructive things. Like, they always try to break out of their tanks to see what else is out there, but obviously they can't live very well without water for a very long time. And so yeah, there is funny moments, there is sad moments, but there is an overall hopefulness to this book, and just this fascination with life and with animals, and I really enjoyed that. So if you are interested in it, it's a very quick and easy read. I would recommend it. And we have one more book left for this little vlog, so I'll let you know when I get into that one. So I'm currently halfway through Remarkably Bright Creatures. It is another migraine day, so I'll try to keep this short, but I've had worse, so I think we'll be fine. Now, honestly, this book so far is a little bit of a disappointment. I think out of all the 3 books, this was kind of the one I was most excited about for no reason at all. I just really liked the cover of the English edition, and so I always assumed it would be great. Which is stupid. Don't judge a book by its cover. But yeah, like low-key, I was most excited about this one. And so far, I think I'm enjoying this one the least out of all 3. I don't know if it is the German translation. That's always a little bit difficult to judge. But even though I could have gotten the English ebook, when I started reading this one, I thought about it, but it wasn't available right away. I would have had to wait, and I don't want to wait anymore because I feel like I don't want to read this in the autumn. So, well, long story short, I don't know if it is the translation, but I'm just not really connecting with the characters, and there were already a couple of moments where the translation was just very cringe. So, for example, there is this moment where 2 characters are meeting for the first time, and then it said something like, because in Germany we do have 2 versions to address someone. You can use the formal version or an informal version. And so basically there was a sentence like, he changed from the formal to the informal version. And obviously that does not exist in English. So I was already like, okay, did he though? Did he? Like, you know, this can change things. This can change how you perceive characters or their relationships if they use a formal or an informal version and stuff like that, which, yeah, is just an addition by the translator. But yeah, apart from that, what is happening in this book, we are following an older woman, and she is cleaning the aquarium. And she is the only one who knows that the octopus Marcellus likes to go on nightly adventures in the aquarium because he figured out how to leave his tank. But she doesn't really tell anyone because she knows that he will always get back in there safely. Then we have another perspective that is a young man who is not good at anything, really. He's very lost in life. He can't hold a job for more than 2 days. And he was brought up by his aunt, who's already elderly as well, because his mother was a drug addict and she couldn't take care of him. Now at the halfway point, we kind of see where the story is going. I think it's not very hard to guess what's gonna happen here, probably, how these storylines kind of intertwine. But yeah, I don't care about the dude at all. Like, at all. He's just such a mess, and not in a good way. And I like the perspective of the elderly woman. There's definitely like some things she's dealing with that are, yeah, very hard. And I think I like that she's quite a pragmatic character, but because of that, it's also harder to feel for her because her view on things is very pragmatic. She's not like, oh, this is hard. It's just like, well, that's how life goes, and now I'm just gonna deal with it. And so I feel like there's not a strong emotional connection to these characters. And then we also get like very, very short chapters from the octopus point of view. And while I was intrigued by that idea, I don't know how I like them, actually. And I think I've read a couple of books that have quite good, like, animal companions or like companion things in general that I liked so much more, where you could really tell that it was not a person, not a human, but a different thing. And I feel like with this one, I don't really feel like I'm reading from an octopus. I feel like a human has written what is supposed to be an octopus, and not very well. So that unfortunately falls flat for me too. But yeah, we'll see how the rest of this goes. The German edition is quite long. It's over 400 pages, 460 pages. And the font isn't that big as well. Well, it isn't small either. So yeah, I hope I can make some more good progress today. That's why I wanted to update you, even though my mind is a little bit foggy. But yeah. So halfway through, unfortunately, so far, quite disappointed with this one. And I think right now I would recommend the other 2 books that I've read more. So I finished my last book for this reading vlog. I finished Remarkably Bright Creatures. So let's talk about this book and then give the final verdict. Now, unfortunately, I was quite disappointed with this read. I just had hoped for so much more. I talked a little bit about that, I think, in my previous update. The main thing for me that I really did not like is the male main character, Cameron, that we get in here. He is such a whiny man baby. Everyone else is always responsible for how his life is going. He does not take his life in his own hands at all. And I can't. I'm sorry, boy. You have so much privilege and that's what you're doing with it. I don't know. So I think you're supposed to feel for him because his mom left, but then he was adopted by his aunt who loved him so much and who raised him with love and stuff like that. So obviously, okay, you can be mad at your mom for giving you up, but it's not like his life changed for the worse because of that. It probably changed for the better, and he just has no understanding, no sympathy for the other people around him. He is so engaged in his own rage that he can't really see the people around him at all, and he's only ever thinking about himself. Like when his best friend has a baby with his wife, and he says that he doesn't want to play in this like metal band anymore that is not successful at all that they have. The only thing he can think about is like, oh, how that will be the end of his band. Where I'm like, bro, this dude is having a baby. It's not about you. And yeah, I don't know. I found him so irritating. I feel like the kind of ending that he gets is like so undeserved. There was just nothing to love for me in this book. There was a lot that was fine, that was okay, but nothing that I really loved. And so, yeah, it's just a mediocre read for me, unfortunately. 3 stars for this book. I don't know. I don't know. And there were also like so many mysteries that we don't get resolved. We still don't know what happened to Eric, who is the son of the female main character who went missing. Like, we never find out what happened to him. We don't know what happened to Cameron's mom. I don't know. I just expected more from this. I'm just a bit disappointed, let's be real. So, looking back at the 3 books that I read for this vlog, now keep in mind that I've been recording this vlog for a couple of months now, so my memory of the other books might already be a little bit hazy. But I think if I would have to rank these books, then on 3rd place we would have Remarkably Bright Creatures, which I gave 3 stars. I think then I would probably put The Soul of an Octopus, which I gave 4 stars, but then I also gave Sea Change 4 stars. So I think depending on what you like, whether you want a fiction or a non-fiction, I would recommend both of these books. If you want fiction, then Sea Change I found very intriguing. And if you like non-fiction, then The Soul of an Octopus is definitely the way to go. I would not recommend Remarkably Bright Creatures, but it has a lot of buzz and very good ratings. So maybe it's me. I don't know. I don't know how you can give this book 5 stars, to be honest. And I'm glad that I found a couple of reviews on Goodreads that said the same thing. And one review even said that all of the like 5-star reviews don't even mention Cameron, as if he doesn't exist in the book. So yeah, I don't know. But that's it for this vlog. If you have any good octopus book recommendations, definitely let me know. They are some of my favorite animals, let's be real. And I would love to do a part 2 of this one day. And yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like or a nice comment and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!